I've been involved in fitness. You know, I grew up baseball, basketball, football. I enjoyed the workouts. I enjoyed the go, the energy. I was doing it then, right? Like I wanted to impact. I loved the industry. I loved how it affected people. I got my first job as a certified trainer and I started doing really well. I was building myself up. I had some great momentum. 2 weeks in is when something drastic really affected me in my life. It's positive. That's what it is, called Leber's disease. It's like optic neuropathy. So basically, like I can't even see your faces. It is a blur. That was very, very challenging. It put me in a very dark, depressive, like basically suicidal state of like, how do I go on? Should I go on? So growing up, I was into weight training, lifting heavy, moving weight, physical. Boom, I get hit over the head with this and it crushes me. My confidence is down, my self-esteem. I'm depressed, I'm anxious. I don't know how I'm gonna continue moving on, honestly. Like, how am I gonna create a family? Like, all these things. And it was not easy, right? And I think back,
guys, before we get started, just want to let you know, if you have any questions for us, please click the link below. You could ask us any questions via email, and we'll get back to you by the end of the episode. All right, guys, we're here with episode 50 with very special guest, Matt Strout from EVO Health and Performance, doing amazing things. We were just talking for like a half hour before we got started. Really great soul. He's got 2 kids. I actually went to high school with his wife, Jen. Billy's doing some stuff, some estate things with his dad and whatnot. So we got our boy Evan rocking that mean stash, and we're excited. We're excited to sit here and talk to Matt. So thank you, man. Thank you for your patience too. I know we got started a little bit late today, so appreciate it, man.
No, thank you very much for having me. You know, Absolutely. And I appreciate the reach out. You know, and bringing like-minded people into the same place and trying to do what we do. You know, we're trying to share our experiences, like we talked about, and ultimately help. You know, people expedite their success through our experiences of things that we wish we did differently or wish we didn't do, or things we wish we did do, right? And now we kind of have been blessed to be able to change our perspective on life and be able to take those things now and give them out.
Absolutely.
You know, so things like this, I mean, you're doing a great thing with what you're doing and bringing people here. So I appreciate it. I'm honored to be here. So thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, between Evan, Billy, and I, like, we really just kind of started this thing out with the intentions of just trying to like help one person like navigate things. And then now we're almost a full year in. This is going to be season 1. We're going to take a little bit of a breather and kind of rehash some things and make sure that we get back to our original wheelhouse. Sometimes we'll get carried away and just keep talking about things that, you know, we kind of lose sight of like what our original mission is. But the mission really started again for the viewers and whatnot. Billy ended up having pneumonia and he basically flatlined and died.
Oh, wow.
And like, and we started calling him the ghost of Billy. I showed up in his backyard. We were like joking about that. But prior to that, we would be over at the shop and we would just kind of be talking. We're like, hey man, we should kind of talk about like whether it's being vulnerable or like just talking about life and different things. We do get wrapped up in some suburbs BS around here where it's like sometimes our problems we think are bigger than they really are. And I was definitely in that realm a few years back. So I was kind of talking to Billy about some of the mental struggles that I had and kind of these forced ways to feel better. And then before you know it, we blinked our eyes. We're almost a full year into this. And we definitely have helped one person. We 100%. Probably have to, when we all sit back down again, revamp like how many people we really do want to help and maybe even factor in like how many people we actually have helped. But there's something about like personal struggle and going through it and having that relatability to somebody else who's going through struggle. And we talked about all this stuff all the time, but we talked about kind of like, you know, being out there in the ocean with like one deflated raft that's like just you, like one raft that's just like struggling out there. You got one paddle, you're in your own shit. And then like you kind of get a few of your boys together and everybody's raft could be a little bit deflated, but the water ain't in yet. And we're still kind of navigating these seas together and forming this community to be able to kind of go through your own personal pain, find ways to make yourself feel better in a positive manner and give that to somebody else. That's the ultimate mission here. And like I said, we're going to get back to that as our mission, but you fit everything that we've been talking about. And I don't really know you. I don't know if this might be the first time we've ever met.
It is.
But between social media and everything, like I really got a good gauge on what you're doing. And I see those workouts with the wrestling shoes on. at like 3:45 in the
Yes, sir.
morning.
Yeah.
And we were talking about the morning routine. So kind of like let us know a little bit about what the morning routine's done for you and how that's kind of allowed you to be a better dad.
Awesome. No, I love that. Number one, to add that last part of a dad, I do take pride in, I take pride in who I am, right? It started as a son and a brother, and then it led to a husband, and then it led to a father, and I like to wear, and as well as a leader inside of the community, right? So I take a lot of pride in all of those hats, and I think it's important to take pride in who you are and then the man that you are creating to become. Like, who do I need to create in order to be the best version of myself for each of those hats when I put them on?
Damn right.
And it started way back for me, right? So I've been involved in fitness. I grew up baseball, basketball, football. A bunch of my buddies wrestled, so I would work out with them, but I never actually wrestled. I got into it late, so I was with the time I told you, like Scotty Winston, them dogs, Dan Hopkins, like the big dogs back in the day, like...
They were squatted up back then.
Oh, man, it was deep, but I enjoyed the workouts. I enjoyed the go, the energy. I remember going to Scotty Winston's house for the first time, and his dad would stand outside watching us. We were flipping tires, throwing kegs, moving wheelbarrows, and that's where the idea came from, which we just connected, where I built an outdoor training place at the house I grew up at. I called it Pain in the Pines.
Amazing.
And when I just saw him, he was actually there.
That's
so
amazing.
You're talking years and years and years
It's
ago.
probably like 14, 15 years ago.
Yeah. But like I was doing it then, right? Like I wanted to impact. I loved the industry. I loved how it affected people.
Right.
And I always wanted to be in it. I grew up in it. Like it was around me. I got my first job as a certified trainer at Central State, and I started doing really well. I was building myself up. I had some great momentum. I was making some good money. I just got the truck I always wanted. I was a Trailblazer SS, blacked out, like beautiful, right? 2 weeks in is when something drastic really affected me in my life. And
do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, 100%. Okay. And basically I started getting super blurred vision. And it started happening when I was working out. So like my heart rate was up, I was working out. So I'm just like, it's a sick workout, whatever, right? It'll go away. So that was like day 1, day 2. By day 3, day 4, it wasn't going away after the workout. Like it was staying. And I'm just like, all right, this isn't right, But here I am, I'm like 18 and a half, 19 years old, like just like grit it out. It's fine. Like it'll go away, whatever. Didn't want to tell nobody.
Right.
By day 5 and 6, like I woke up like that now. Ooh. So now it's getting to the point where it was really messing with my equilibrium, like trying to regather myself. Like it was not good. It got me to the point where I was like throwing up. Like my body was trying to recalibrate. Finally told my parents, like I had to tell them something was wrong. I couldn't drive. Like I couldn't go on the way that I was going on. Like I had to make a severe like life change. And it started with going to the eye doctor first and being tested, and there was definitely something wrong, but they couldn't figure out what it was. So ultimately, it was about a year long of testing from eye doctor, retina specialist, optic nerve specialist, neurologist, CAT scans, spinal taps. I got 3 spinal taps along the way, massive amounts of blood work, like all this stuff. Finally, I got a genetic blood test. I ended up at the University of Pennsylvania because nobody could figure out I was wrong. Genetic blood test. I remember being in this doctor's. I remember being in this doctor's office, and it was basically going to come down to 2 things for the final spinal tap. He said it was either going to be this like rare case of Lyme's disease, or he was going to also send me for this genetic blood test. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, Lyme's disease, what do we do? He's like, if it's Lyme's disease, we go on these IVs. Like, and I already had IV drips. Like, they tried all this stuff. It wasn't working, but maybe it was something deeper. Right. Maybe it was something different that they needed to address differently. If it's Lyme's disease of any kind, there's a way that we could figure this out. Cool. What if it's this genetic disease? He's like, unfortunately, there's no cure for this disease, and you just have to live your healthiest, best, most positive life that you can. And I'm like, okay. So he's like, it could take up to 30 days to get the results back. So it took 30 days, of course, right? You're sitting there waiting.
That's anxiety.
You were 18, you said?
I was about 18 and a half when this was going. It started when I was around 18, so it finished around 19 or so. It's positive. That's what it is, called Leber's disease. It's like optic neuropathy. So basically, like, I can't even see your faces. Like, I take pride in practicing eye contact and whatnot, but like, I don't see your face. It is a blur. If I saw you right now, if I saw you out in the mall.
So you think I'm a 10. I'm like a 6.5 on a good day, bro.
I'll say your body is a 10, dude. I showed you yoked up. And that's what we talked about too, like keeping ourselves right. But you say hello to you, you shake, you bring you in, that's some real deal, man. You're putting the work in, right? And I respect that.
No doubt.
But in that moment, that was very, very challenging. It put me in a very dark, depressive, like basically suicidal state of just like how do I go on? Should I go on? Like, how am I going to do? The dream was always to do fitness. My dream when I was young was to own a gym. Mm-hmm. Now I like to say I own a training facility, which is based upon health and performance. So
with
it is
the recovery type
with
component.
the recovery style. So it is physical therapy, it is fitness, it is recovery, it is wellness of the whole human. And my shift happened when I realized, right? So growing up, I was into weight training, lifting heavy, moving weight, right? Physical. Boom, I get hit over the head with this and it crushes me. My confidence is down, my self-esteem. I'm depressed, I'm anxious. I don't know how I'm gonna continue moving on, honestly. Like, how am I gonna create a family? Like, all these things. And it was not easy, right? And I think back, the first person I really started following was Tony Robbins, right?
Amazing.
The GOAT, right?
I don't want to cut you off, but when I was in my most depressed, anxious, suicidal thought state, I read The Power of One More, and it was a game changer. Yeah. It was a game changer. One more day. One more thing, one more exercise. He's got amazing stuff and he saves lives. And that Netflix series, I didn't realize, but the one Netflix special, I just got the chills again.
I just got on too when you said that.
I didn't realize after I watched the Netflix special that everyone that was in that one arena was all struggling. Like, you had to have some mental struggles to even like show up. So like the whole arena needed to hear that message. I didn't know that as I was watching. Wow. And then the one guy, he raises his hand. He's like, "Why are you sad? Because your red shoes or something?" And the guy like looks down. He's like, "You smiling?" He's like, "Why are you smiling?" He kind of like put him on the spot right there. And golly, man, I'm so glad, like, the power of like these videos and the power of that social media and stuff. Like, back in the day, we didn't really have full access to Tony Robbins. You know what I mean? Or there could have been a version of Tony Robbins in the 90s or early 2000s that, you wouldn't really have access to like we do now. So that's amazing that Tony Robbins was one that kind of kick-started you, like, okay, I can get through this.
Yeah. Well, because it's those things that hit you, right? Yeah. So it's like I was sitting there, I was dwelling on myself. I felt like a victim. Why me? Why is this happening? Like, what do I do? Like, really intrinsic and down and just feeling sorry for myself. And it came to one of the things he said where it was, life happens for you, not to you.
That's what Saidi says.
And it's a mental shift where you have to truly believe that even in this dark moment, that there is a reason for this. Because you don't see it when it's happening. It's dark, it's weird, it's just unknowing. It's so much energy. We talked about energy, so much bad energy. Yep. They're trying to work through. And Tony again said something that hit me, right? Because he said, the fastest way to make a mental and emotional shift was to make a physical shift.
There you go.
Not necessarily intense or hard.
Right.
Just move your body.
Right.
And I was in such a bad way. Now I've been working out my whole life, but now I'm laying in my bed, sad, depressed, and all I needed to do was work to get myself up and just start walking.
That's it.
And allow it. I call it the hormonal hack. Because the reality is when you just move, your hormones start shifting inside of your body, right? Yep. Then from there, it turns into purposeful adversity, like I said. Now I'm going to tell myself the things that I'm going to tell myself that I'm going to do, and then I'm going to teach myself how to hold myself accountable to doing them.
Damn right.
And to come full circle, which I will, to your original question, which is the morning routine, was I needed to develop something that would prime me. Tony Robbins, again, talks about priming yourself. For me to be the man that I knew I needed to be in order to go achieve the things that I wanted to and desired to achieve.
That's amazing.
So it started with that morning process of understanding what I needed to do. So the one thing I'm forever grateful for is the love and support that I've always had from my mother, my father, my sister. I have my family, my friends. One of my best friends at the time is now my wife.
Amazing.
Right, who has been through this journey with me. And when you hear these people every day talking to you and like, it's going to be okay, you're going to get through, like, deep down, I'm just like,
no, it's not.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
like,
I have no idea.
I've been there.
I don't know. You don't get it. It's dark. It's overwhelming. But I also have this other thing where I'm like, I don't want to let these people down. Like, I love them so much.
I
needed to learn how to harness the negative dark energy, which I believe dark energy is real. There's dark energy, there's positive energy.
Definitely.
And I think that you need to learn how to work with both. So what I started teaching myself was how to harness the dark energy for positive, productive action.
Love it.
So I would feel the negative thoughts, and then I would say to myself, like, no. Like, if that's what you think, if you think you're worthless, you're useless, like you're not going to be able to do the things that you set out to do, let's prove it wrong.
Yeah.
Let's go against this voice. Let's stand up and let's go do this. And then it just started, you start habit stacking, right? It's about the one little thing. You put one little thing in place, then you do it, then it's the next thing. Then it's the next thing, you know, to the point where you understand that you need it. Like it's a need, right?
That's
like
where I'm at.
Yeah, you need it now because I think as humans, we're addicted. We're addicted to and we run to and away from feelings. So when you get out of your cold plunge, right, you just told me go twice a day. Why? Because you're addicted to the feeling after.
Right.
So because you know when you get out of there, you're like, right? Like I'm about to go get it. I'm going to give everyone around me good energy. I just put myself through some stuff I didn't want to, but I did it. I'm good. I'm still here. And I'm going to go give that to other people. So you're addicted to the feeling now. So now if you backtrack, all right, what did I do to get this feeling? Well, I moved myself. I held my word to myself. I did these things that allowed me to get this feeling, and I'm going to keep doing more of that. And then it just comes down to decisions and discipline.
Love it.
Pete came up with something really cool called the power list that he gave me, which is, how do you break it down? It's things that make me feel good, things that make me feel good when I'm helping others. And then there's one more, I think it's like the ideal version of myself. Like, what do I look like? How do I feel? And he had me do it within the past like 6 months. And you basically, that's almost like your prescription. Where like anytime like you need to just check in with yourself, look at your power list and be like, oh, well, I can go surf. I can go for a run. I can go work out. I can go do a cold plunge. I can go help somebody. I can go mentor somebody.
That's it.
And it's literally just like a menu that you just go and you pick from, and it works every time.
And it's different for every person. Like I knew what your answers were going to be based on some of the things that we were already talking about. Like you were already telling me you were juiced up about the surfing. For somebody else, like it could be like Billy with his BMX bike. Like it could be something different. Like go fishing. What do you really like? Oh, I love fishing. Go fishing. Make yourself feel good. Do something that you know is going to make you feel good for a little while. And that's almost that habit stacking too.
Yeah, 100%. Because you mix it into your repertoire, right? Go ahead.
I was gonna say, so those are like the easy things that you can do because you already know that you like them. I'm gonna butcher this, but it's something that I heard on, I think it was on Huberman's podcast, Andrew Huberman. But he talks about I think it's the mid-singular cortex, which is like a part of your brain where basically what's stored in there is like resilience. It seems like, and what they've shown is the more that you do things that you don't want to do, but you just barrel through it and you do it, that area gets bigger and it gets stronger. So even intentionally doing the things that you don't want to do, forcing yourself to do it, you're getting stronger, on that end. So that's a harder route, versus the power list, but it's
that's actually why I stopped with the music in the cold plunge. That video was like the prime reason why, and that was why I was telling you that I went from 3 minutes to 4 minutes was that same video. Because the 3 minutes got easy, and I was like, and to your point, like I'm looking forward to it. I'm like, I don't know if maybe there's some more growth if I stay in for the extra minute.
I got to make this
if I disconnect the music. Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. Because it puts you into your own thoughts too, and I think not enough people spend time with that. Like
especially now with the phones and everything, you're just lost in your scroll. I
mean, I'm up very early. I've done that because I do have so much anxiety.
Still to this day? Even with the stacking and sweating and everything 100%. Else? Me too.
I don't think it goes away.
Me too.
I think you just
I actually think anxiety is a blessing with what I talked to Evan about. If
you use it properly as fuel.
Yeah, I was talking to one of the female wrestlers last night, and I was explaining how nervous I would get before matches, and I saw she was locked in, and so I like talked to her. It was the first time I ever met her, and I talked to her afterwards, and I'm like, "You feel anxious during school and stuff? Like you feel anxious like a lot of times?" She's like, "Yeah." I'm like, you get worried about different things. I'm like, that shows that you have a good heart and like you care about others, and then you care about the results.
That is so true.
I can't fight it anymore. I have an anxious belly.
Yeah.
It is who I am. I fucking worry.
Yeah.
I want things like, I'm not afraid of like struggle and like afraid of shit. Like I know things are gonna go bad. People are gonna die. Like devastation's gonna happen. I'm not gonna sit here in my own pity party and like I was talking about like with the suburbs struggles and stuff. But I feel like shit. Like I care, and like it's a blessing. And like the lady at work, she's got the anxious belly that I do, and she's worried, and she'll be like, oh, I don't know if we're gonna close on time, and like it's all this what if, like all these unknowns. And I'm like, you know what, you have a good fucking heart. I know it sucks for people like us that are anxious sometimes, and it could take over us a little bit, but I'm glad, I'm not glad for you, but I'm glad that there's even more common ground with that anxious nature.
Oh yeah.
And it's not, it's so hard to explain like anxiety, but it's easy to talk about with somebody who goes through it.
Oh, yeah.
But if you try to tell someone who doesn't feel it, it's just like, I'm sorry, you just don't, you can't understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you ever meet somebody just with
saying,
no anxiety whatsoever?
No anxiety,
it's like,
man.
They're just humming through life.
Yeah, but they might have other things that are keeping them back, you know?
And I also think it comes down to like, what are your aspirations, right? Like, what are the levels? Like, I want to compete at the highest levels.
Yeah.
Like, I want to compete. I want to be the youngest, most unsuccessful guy in the room, but because the room is filled with very high level successful people, right? So I want to be in that room. But like when you're around, like, so, all right, so when I really started studying personal development and taking it to the next level now during this journey of my life, I was like, what are like some of the common denominators, right? Like I would study people in real estate. I respect real estate, personal development of all different spaces, obviously fitness and mindset and all that, right? So I'm studying all these different people, and I'm like, what's a common denominator? One of them is time. Okay, there's 168 hours in the week. There's 24 hours in the day. So whether you're the most successful person in the world or the least, that is the same. So I'm like, okay, so now, what's different? What's different is the level of prioritization, delegation, organization. Like when you really watch a highly successful person and the way that they operate, it is extremely intentional, right? It's intentional in the way that they speak. It's intentional in the people they surround themselves with.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I need to do like more of this now. So how do I manipulate my time to serve me? And what it came down to was like, I heard something great was like, be selfish in unselfish times, right? So like for me in my life at that time, the morning just really worked for me in two ways. It worked, number one, because it allowed me to really harness my anxiety and to prime myself to be who I need to be. So from who I wake up to the end of my cold shower 5-minute finish, it's a transfer of human. Yeah. It's me like gearing up. It's like putting the armor on in the morning, right? And like
imagine what not to cut you off, but imagine what your anxiety would feel like if your day didn't start like that. Because my anxiety would get monsooned when I wake up on reaction mode with the kids and I don't do anything for myself. And it's, and then you're on your phone and now the clients and it's all reaction mode. You didn't do anything for yourself. And that's when like, and now you're kind of like lacking sleep a little bit, or you're taking some L's throughout the day, and like that's when you get into this mental freaking oh my god, and it's so exhausting. Just like we were talking before about like the wrestling match when your thoughts are bad, or like leading up to a test or something, like leading up to a big day. If your self-talk is bad, it's super draining. That stuff is more draining than waking up, working your tail off for 2 hours. Like that's like good drain or like good stress on your body. 100%. The worry and everything else is so much darn energy.
Yeah, I mean, and I think to take time for yourself in the morning, it doesn't have to be as extensive. Like for me, like I love working out, right? And like I work in like my place is beautiful. It's top notch, top level equipment, everything, right? And we like to say that's at the bottom of the list of what you're investing in. You're investing in a high level based program of individual custom programming for you as a person. That's what we do.
Hell yeah.
So between myself, my partner, Dr. TJ Martino, physical therapist, not like anybody I've ever seen, we take his brain, we take the team of coaches, we mix and mold these things together. We've developed a very in-depth evaluation process to really understand and to meet people where they are, but then to understand who and where do they want to go. Who do you want to become? Where do you want to go? How are we going to understand this? And then how are we going to create a plan to get you there? And then we're going to hold ourselves accountable by retesting you on a monthly basis to say, hey, you're investing time, energy, effort, finance. Let's make sure we're living up to it on our end too.
I love that.
So that you could see those progressions and those results. But at the same time, my day's chaos.
Yeah.
So could I work out there? I used to work out midday. I used to try. But then what I started realizing, there's always something. Once
and
you're
now
in
you
the
got
chaos in the
anxiety
day,
because you were working out while your phone was popping off or your clients are looking out for you. Like your workout wasn't even where it needed to be for your mind.
And I needed that more. I needed the darkness. I don't like waking up early. I don't like cold water.
Is this an alarm or you're just up?
No, it's an alarm. It's an alarm.
Are you snoozing?
I snooze twice.
What's on your
Bro,
crash?
snooze sleep jacks me up so bad, and I snooze sleep every morning.
I know. It's probably not great for me.
No,
but
it's fine. It is what it is. Keep it going.
I have a rule. It's 2. It's a 3:15 alarm.
That's just the buffer.
And then at 3:15, 3:25, 3:35. I got so many alarms because I don't want to miss.
Right.
And
What time do you crash at night?
So it's not, to me, it's like whatever time everything's done, right? So we put the kids, like we do baths, we do dinner, we clean everything up. It's a team effort, right? If my wife's cleaning, I'm drying, putting things away. The kids are helping. We clean up the toys. Like it's a thing, right? So then we get up, we get everybody settled. And then I make sure I'm prepared for the next morning. So then I go down and make sure the coffee pot's set up, my cup's there, like the little things, my workout clothes. I mean, it's a little bit of OCD, but I've used it to help benefit myself where I cut seconds off my process.
So you're talking 5-6 hours sleep at this point?
Generally, probably right.
Well, I saw a video again. You spend time with your wife, the kids,
hanging
everything
out
else.
The wife, we're doing kids. I mean, so I'm in bed anytime between 9:30 and 10:30.
Okay.
You know, and then I take.
You got your circadian rhythm right there because it's before 10:30. But I saw a video that said this country was built on tired men. So it's like we're all tired, but like, dude, they built the Verrazano Bridge. Those guys are fucking exhausted. You know what I mean? What's my excuse?
I'm groggy if I get over 7 hours. Like my sweet spot is like 6 to 6.5.
Yep.
There you go.
But I almost feel like I operate a little better with it. Like a little bit of tired, like dog. Like I think back of coming up.
A little bit of edge right there.
Yeah.
It's almost like working out fasted in a way. It's like
fasted workouts are huge. They say it's good for your T levels.
A little bit of extra.
Yeah. You know, but you put yourself in those different. It's a mindset too. Like the mindset of, like I said earlier, like purposeful adversity. Like telling myself I got to do this stuff on a daily basis when I would love to sleep in. Like, but. You know, I go Monday through Saturday, so I'm 6 days a week. Sunday, I wake up when my kids wake up.
Nice. So you're catching up a little bit
Sunday,
there.
right, so my body gets a little recovery.
Are you up later Saturday night? Just because
I'll
it's the
push it a
weekend and
little
shit?
bit,
Okay, but you're still catching up a little bit.
100%.
Yeah.
And I also do that because I think it's important to remind myself, like there's nothing like that morning time with your babies,
it's
right?
amazing.
When everybody's
it's not going to last forever.
It doesn't last forever, and I respect that. I've been blessed to have a lot of older dogs in my life that tell me these things, and I try to implement them into my life now. I don't want to rush through this period of life in this time,
it's
right?
so rushed at this time. How old are your kids?
4 and 2. My baby girl's 4. My son just turned 2.
And it's so much going on that like you almost lose those small moments. So I'm glad that you're finding them, you know, for yourself and aware enough, you know, for yourself that it's not going to be like this forever.
Right.
You know?
And you know, you sleep. I mean, they're still getting up by 6:30.
Yeah, they're still up.
So like, I'm
sleeping
still up
in. You're still up early.
But for me, it's an extra 3 hours. So that like resets my whole self in the morning. I mean, in that day.
Yeah.
To kind of get myself right, and then we're up and we're doing. You know, in the morning, everybody's I try to serve. Like I believe in like that savage servant. I try to be the best savage servant I can be for my wife.
That's a banger.
To my wife, to my kids.
You should make your podcast thing.
Yeah, but like you are that too. You know, like you're a dog out there in the world. But you take care of yourself. You walk in like you want to be the guy when your wife or your kids like don't know what to do. They look at you, yo, dad, like, what should I do? Or babe, like, we got this, and this. And you're like, no, it's okay. We're going to do it. Like, but it takes work. Like, you don't just get to have that demeanor.
Yeah, I kind of call it with the kids and stuff that I'm trying to help them in this world as young wrestlers create like this kind savage. Like that's like kind of like my line. It's the same type of thing you're saying. It's like this kind, compassionate savage. Not to get grim and nasty, but I saw this video of this like pedophile that was being interviewed in prison. And he said that he would seek out children whose father wasn't a threat. So I fucking I'm a fucking threat, motherfucker. So my thing is like, I want to be a fucking threat. Like I'm still gonna be nice and kind, and I'm not gonna be a jerk to people, but I'm a fucking threat.
100%.
And like I'm okay with that. And if that is what's gonna take me, if I'm a little bit tired and don't want to work out, in the back of my mind, if I have to see the image of that guy, then so be it. That got me there.
I love that.
Because
I love that.
you know, Dad's gonna be around. Dad's gonna be in shape, and Dad's gonna be fucking ready.
Yeah. And when you walk in the room, people are gonna be like, "Oh shit!" Like,
that guy, right? Don't even fucking look at my kids, bro. Don't even look this way. You know what I'm saying? I know that's extreme.
No,
but when you're a parent and you know you got the livelihood on the line here, and it's like, primal. Hey, 100%. It kind of comes out like, hey, dude, I was saying before, like I work out, you know, more for the mental stuff, and I need it, and I had to get to. So I was telling you about Billy's story. My story was based on seizures, and I disconnected myself from alcohol 9 years ago, and I thought there was a direct correlation between the seizures and the alcohol because I didn't have any medicine and didn't have any seizures for almost 9 full years, about 8.5 years. And then January of 2 years ago hits, and I had one. And then I had another one that same year in May. I landed on my face in front of my kids. I lost my driver's license. And a similar thing to where you were at mentally with the hospital visits and all that other stuff, that's when my really bad self-talk started coming in. And now I'm like financially responsible for the household. I'm the dad, and my dad's driving me around. I'm freaking 36 years old. My dad's driving me. I got no driver's license. I got no tooth. Yeah. You know, and just my self-talk was awful. So I had to kind of just say, okay, man, like I cleaned a closet. And once I cleaned the closet, one of my clients called, and my dad was with me day in and day out, helping me with the kids in the morning and everything else. So I cleaned the closet. I finally got out of bed, though. Like you said, that was very relatable because that physically draining, I could not, 72 hours, 3 days straight, I didn't get out of bed. My phone was probably dead. My friend, I don't know who's fucking reaching out to me. I was in my own bullshit so bad that it was so draining that I could not get out of bed. The seizure is extremely draining because it's full body shaking and stuff. You get these monster headaches, but my self-talk kept me in bed. Something went off. I cleaned the closet, and it was like, that task for today. Like, you ever see that video of that Navy SEAL who talks about like making your bed in the morning? Yeah, it was like almost like I don't even know what, I just kind of laid there. I saw the closet was a mess, and I like cleaned it up. And then I cleaned up the closet, and then my dad
actually cleaned your closet. I thought you were saying
not Eminem cleaning out my closet. No, legit, dude.
You
like reorganized my shit, donated clothes,
love it,
shoes on the bottom, whatever it was, closed the doors, like it was money.
And
but
you're
like, So then one of my clients called, and I just like must have felt okay mentally to finally pick up the phone. That was like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so it's like a Monday at this point. And I pick up the phone, and I just like good way like black out talk to this guy. But it was like first time I talked to a human being in like 3 days.
Yeah.
So I like hang up the phone, and my dad from downstairs goes, "You still got it, buddy." And I go, I still do, man. I still do.
That's
you
awesome.
know, and I'm like tearing up thinking about it, and I was tearing up like in that moment, and like I was fighting back my smile because my tooth was in half. You know what I mean? So I was like, but like when my dad said that to me, I was like, I do fucking got it. So my point was, and then some of my friends did 75 hard.
Yep.
And I was loving that shit, but I was noticing, Andy Frisella. And when you said Tony Robbins, I got the book confused with Ed Milet.
I know. He's a beast.
Another freaking beast with the same vibe.
100%.
So anyway, so I made this like checklist for myself, and 75 hard, 365 medium, I called it. It's like every day, this is what I'm going to do. And I just was in the notes in my phone saying different things for myself. And I stayed diligent on that, like day in and day out, to the point that some days I'd be 60, 70%. Now, if I did 75 hard, I would have been eliminated after like a few days because I didn't check every single box.
Correct.
Maybe one day I missed like whatever it was that was on my list. Drink a gallon of water, workout, gratitude list. I had all these things for myself, you know, that I would do. And like that really helped me. And then now that I'm 2 years removed from that stuff, I learned a lot about like myself and what I need and my self-awareness of like when I'm good and when I'm not. And one of the things that we spoke about last week, my friend's wife has MS. And she had to like really like restructure her diet, like her mental talk, like all this shit. MS is like serious shit. And so what I realized in her struggles was that like we have the ability in like the time of day and the time in the weeks and the month and the years, like we have this time to be intentionally selfish in a good way. I used to think that selfish was a bad word.
100%. I'm glad you
but
said it like
you're
that. Yes.
good selfish, that's good. The bad selfish, like we talk about, you're playing poker at night, you're drinking, you're doing things like there's bad selfish, but there's good selfish. And 100%. I've leaned into the good selfish almost to the point that this podcast is in like that good selfish category.
100%.
Because, the phone's making me a little anxious that you don't know who's during the week and the clients and the family and different things.
But you're serving right now. Yeah,
exactly.
You're serving
but
others, yeah.
there are a lot of things that you were talking about that kind of brought me back. And now I'm at the point, after almost 52 weeks, I don't want to live there anymore. I don't want to stay there anymore. I was saying, I was depressed. I was having seizures. I had suicidal thoughts. That ain't fucking me right now, though. Mm-hmm. That's not 2024. Coming into 2025, that's not where I'm at. That's where I was. That's what got me here.
Correct.
And I'm grateful for that shit. Every day I'll kind of bring it back in the plunge and whatnot. Yep. I'm reminded twice a day with the seizure meds, but I'm not that guy anymore. Mm-hmm. I'm this guy right now that you guys see, and I'm trying to figure out what this guy that I'm gonna be or wanna be is gonna look like. Like, that's where I would kind of have a hard time with the way that you talk to your people. For me, I would say for that template or however you're structuring it, when you would say like, where do you want to go? Mm-hmm. Like, I would be like, I'm not sure. I intermittent fast. I weigh 185. I don't know if I need more calories. I don't know if I want to be more jacked. Like, I would have a hard time answering for the future. If that makes any sense. If I feel that, is it a questionnaire or?
Well, it's an interaction.
Right, okay.
It's communication interaction with the coach.
So I guess I would say like maybe I want to look more jacked.
Yeah.
But I know what comes, like I need more calories.
But I also think for someone like yourself, so I'm hosting that seminar tomorrow.
Yeah, and I'll be there.
Yes, which I go into deeper versions of this.
Oh, good.
But we do talk about, this is like more on the deeper side of things, like the mentality. But like, understanding where you are presently, mm-hmm. tapping into your past but not dwelling, so understanding the experiences you've been through and how you could leverage them, mm-hmm. but really spending time on futuristic self.
Yeah.
And it's not so much the aesthetics, right? Which 100% we do want that as well.
Right.
But for someone like yourself, I think it's so much deeper than that. Like, who are the people you want to impact? How do you want to impact them? Like, maybe we link up and we do a seminar together. Maybe, like, I think
that would be amazing.
I think it's more about you serving now.
Me too.
And
it has been, and we've spoke about that. And you've only known me for an hour, so
right, seriously. But that's where I think I would look for your futuristic self, because I think you understand the importance of fitness and wellness and consistency. So we're not really teaching you that.
Right.
We would just give you really great workouts that made sense for the different parts that you are in your life, right?
Yeah.
We would integrate really good mobility, flexibility stuff. Like, we're a little older now, right?
Yeah.
You want to make sure you keep that stuff in. And you would get better physically, but I think where we would have to go with someone like yourself, and we work with high producers, like high performance style people, it's like career, it's personally and professionally, like what's the vision? Where do you want to go? What are the things you want to acquire? I lose sight
on that type of stuff all the time.
Correct.
You
That's where I think we go with someone like yourself.
That's so wild that you have that read on people and like that read on me. Like, I'm so in my day-to-day, like organized chaos, if you will, that I don't get many moments throughout the day to even picture the future for myself or finances for myself or what I would like things to look like because of a lot of things. But like, I'm grateful for what I have. We're moving into a bigger house. Like, that's going to be happening over time. Thank you. But I would love to be able to at least try to just visualize, or however I could like paint that picture of myself to like still appreciate what I have and not beat myself up, but also say, hey, I'm doing this stuff to end up here.
100%.
And I don't know where here is. And I have a very hard time with that.
Yeah.
How about you? Like, how are you with that? Like, future self, or you know what I mean?
For a while,
goals, like.
Yeah, I mean, I know generally the direction that I want to go in, as long as I'm staying on that path, then I'm good. But there's been times where like my life has just gotten so chaotic that I don't even allow myself to like think about the future, because it's like
exactly.
You know,
how are we doing time-wise?
I know. Yeah, I know. Matt's got a hard out at 220. So
where we at?
220.
220. So we can land this plane.
But finish what you're saying.
We can land this plane. I love that line, by the way.
I know generally the direction that I want to go, and I feel like internally I know the steps that need to be taken to get there. It's just a matter of doing it. But I know that some people can get so down on themselves that they don't even allow themselves to like dream. They don't even allow themselves to like.
I've been there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I've been there.
I think a lot of us
I don't
have.
know if that's anxious or depression or bad self-talk.
Yeah.
I'd love to get him connected with Seidenberg too.
I think it's understanding. I think I know from. I think
Dave Seidenberg.
Yeah, I've
he's
heard
got
of him.
Interchamp LLC.
Yeah,
he's been on here a few
Okay.
times. He says that line that you said all the time: "Life happens for you, not to you." Yeah, that's his go-to. He's got a whole journal and everything out.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think. So what I teach people is to take time to put yourself into a visualization state.
Yeah.
And you have to be present. Losing my vision taught me how to be so present and to feel, because I don't have the external vision, but to spend time with understanding, what does that person look like? How does he or she sound? How do they speak? What are the people that are surrounded you with? What is your financial status? What does your house look like? You could touch, feel like, but I think the more time you spend, so I believe in the morning.
I love this guy, by the way. I'm sorry to cut you off, but dude, I love everything you're
family
about.
too.
Yeah.
I grew up with a sister, just
Amazing.
salt of the earth people.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I think the more you could spend time in the projection state, which is projecting futuristic self, the more intuitive you are with who you're going to become. I believe that your decision making then becomes futuristic Pete.
Yes.
Is coaching present Pete on decision making.
I love that.
So now you become more intuitive. It's like wrestling. When you wrestle, you're in a flow state, but you're doing this to do that, or you're doing that to then do this.
Yeah.
So you're so intuitive with yourself and your motions, your movements, your feints. It all makes sense. To you.
Purposeful.
Because it's purposeful. You have time in. You have experience. You have wisdom. You're applying it.
Yeah.
Spending time with knowing where you want to go, I think motivates and drives you on a regular basis. So every morning, part of my morning routine is visualization and projection. Because and at nighttime, which I was going to tell you this earlier to help you sleep, I reflect. So my morning process is to prime, project, and prepare. My nighttime process is to reflect, rest, and recover. And I learned that reflection needs to take place at night. Now, why? Because you can go over your day and the things that you've accomplished to make yourself be proud. So you should be proud of yourself to then settle down and sleep.
Are those intentional good things that happen throughout the day, or are you replaying your entire day?
I'm going through my day, and
you
most of the
finding
time,
small wins for yourself.
I'm finding the intentional small wins so that I can set up.
That gets you. Not to cut you off, but I'm trying to picture all this. That kind of gets you singular focused on like, okay,
on the things that I did
good today.
Correct.
I did good today. It's not everything that I could have done or what I could possibly do tomorrow or the next day or the bills that are due and all the other stuff. Like I need a better mental. Not to cut you off. I need a better mental roadblock. But if I could stay, I probably have ADD. ADHD, whatever it may be. But if I could stay on something good to intentionally build my thoughts and build my mind, that will put my mind at ease and allow me to sleep.
Because then in the morning,
when I take the exit on 195 off bad thoughts, dude,
100%.
I'm in Jackson. I'm supposed to be at the beach.
Yes.
And it's dark, and I don't know where the hell I'm going. I'm just going straight. And I'm going 70.
Right,
and it's like...
Correct.
You know?
But in the morning, you project. So in that morning, now you're going over all the things you're going to do today, this week, and futuristic self. Now, why? Because what I learned is if you think future at night, what do you want to do? You want to get up and you want to put work in. Yeah. But
all you're supposed to do is lay down. That's the hard part for me that makes so much sense.
So you have to control the thoughts.
There's nothing in the future that I could do from my bed.
So you have to
when
turn
I know that I need X amount of hours to be able to be functional tomorrow to do anything, never mind all the things coming into my mind.
So,
but I hate to keep you, dude.
I want to stay, but what I think we should do is we should do this again, honestly, because I think I would love to have Billy here. I didn't get a chance to meet him, but I think we could all do it again, but I think this is the beginning of something special. I appreciate your guys' time.
Yeah.
I think we're super like-minded, and I think that's what people need more of. I think surrounding ourselves with the right people and then connecting our circles just brings more to everybody. So,
well, Matt, I'm super grateful for everything that you brought to us. You have amazing stuff. This is just the beginning of a friendship. I'm so glad that you put up these stories, and I was able to just see on Instagram who you are as a person, and be able to hit your DMs and say, hey, dude, you fit our realm, man. You know, and I never met you before today.
Yep, I appreciate
but
that
yeah,
so
dude,
much.
you're doing amazing stuff. That's quite the story. We kind of ended off on, we like to talk about the struggle moments at 18, the gratitude for that. So much good came out of that. There could have been terrible bad, which you discussed, but the good that came out of that hardship is really, we're all going to go through hardships, and we're going to continue to as we get older. It's understanding that whether it's God or like, it happened for a reason, and we now see the reasons today at 34 years old. That was 16 years ago, how, like, where you're at now. And I'm glad you're alive. We'll say that was the most extreme, the suicidal thoughts, but I'm interested to see how your life would have really played out without that hardship. Maybe you wouldn't have had that dog.
I would have never had
You would have still been doing the workouts in the yard, but you wouldn't have had to dig as deep as you were forced to dig,
100%.
Which is what Billy and I talk about a lot. Those moments that we're forced to find a way to get better, feel better, that will ultimately create, you know, our future self, like you mentioned.
So true.
Yeah, dude. Well, hey, I'll see you tomorrow night.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, really good seeing you as well.
For sure.
But we will do this again. Thank you guys all so much. Appreciate you.
Awesome. Ski! You want to say Billy's line?
Yeah, check out the links below. We're going to put links to EVO everywhere that you can find Matt. And we'll see you guys next week.
All right. Boom, boom.
Thank you guys.
Good shit, homie.